All right, YouTube, how you doing? Welcome back to the channel. It is Sunday, May 18th. We've got a full MLB slate to dive into in today's video like we always do. I'm going to dive into each and every one of these games. I'm going to give you my prediction on the side. I'll give you my prediction on the total. We'll talk about any other plays like player props that we like within the game as well. But as always, guys, keep an eye down on the pinned comment of this video. That'll take you to all of my final plays, so I'm actually rolling with myself. If that does interest you, it's absolutely free down in the pinned comment. All right, YouTube, how you doing? Welcome back to the channel. I tell you guys I'm a dummy all the time. They don't suck. They've just been sucking. Get them down to -3 for more juice than Jose Canseco in his prime. Tell me you're new without telling me you're new. So don't go jumping down my throat in the comments, right? If you want to fade me, or if you do want to ride me, this still leaves a bad taste in my mouth, right? And remember, more chins, more wins. In terms of yesterday, yes, we go 5-4. You're probably thinking, nice, a little bit of money, right? But because of the juice of a lot of our wins there, we actually end up losing 0.04 units. So obviously nothing really to cry about, but just wanted to be transparent and let you know that, yes, we had more wins than losses yesterday, but still had a negative night just because of the juice that we were injecting there. In terms of our two plays that I'm really bummed about, not bummed because it is what it is, but we had the under for Ezekiel Tovar and Brian Reynolds, right? Under 1.5 hits, runs, and RBIs for both. They both go deep, and it's like, yeah, I guess if you're going to beat me hard. Pause. But let's go ahead and dive into today's slate. Guys, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. Let's get rocking here. We got Texas taking on Houston, and I do have a potential final play in this one. So on the mound for Texas is going to be Jack Leiter going up against Framber Valdez, who has really found his groove the last couple starts here. 7 innings pitched, 1 earned run, 7 strikeouts, 2 walks, and then next time out, 8 innings pitched, 1 earned run, 7 strikeouts, 1 walk. So Valdez looking pretty good. He has some really good numbers against this Texas squad. 177 plate appearances against. A lot of a sample size, right? They're a big sample size. 199 average against and a WOBA of 271. So pretty damn good from him. On the other side of things is going to be Jack Leiter, who I don't think that we can trust just yet. I'm probably tipping my hand as to what I'm going to be rolling with if we do roll something in this game. He has his most recent good start, right, against Colorado. He went 6 innings, 1 earned run, 5 strikeouts, 2 hits. It was Colorado. Give me a break, right? Though I do think that obviously he's got a lot of talent. I think we all know that. One of these pitchers is pitching way better right now. I think we know which team has the better and more consistent offense. Hard to say that after yesterday, but still, Houston also has the better offense. And then bullpen, Houston's bullpen should be fairly good to go. I think that this is a Houston spot all the way around. The one thing that's kind of tripping me up is the odds we're getting. Like, I got Houston, I'm looking at it right now, -110, and I think we're going to lock that in as a final play, but this seems like it should be a little bit more like a -130 or something like that. So I'm probably going to roll with it. It is an early start, but yeah, something's telling me that this is a fishy line, but you know what? We fall for traps all the time. So give me Houston. In terms of where we go from a total, maybe a Houston team total over. That could be a good move. I don't want to fade Valdez and look at the over altogether here. And also, I would say that Houston's bullpen's pretty good as well, right? So, yeah, I think this is going to be a spot in which we realistically just back Houston. Over their last 20 games here, they've only had one time in which they had 2 games in a row that they didn't reach 4 runs. So, you know, they had 1 run yesterday. I expect them to bounce back a little bit today. So, yeah, I'm leaning towards Houston as well as their team total over. We might even double dip in terms of getting that down. Them on the money line and their team total over. I think it could be a good look. We're going to see fastball, slider, sinker out of Jack Leiter. They hit the fastball really well. The slider, middle of the pack, but the sinker, they hit pretty damn well. So, again, you know, could be a good spot to double dip for Houston, especially coming off of a loss yesterday. Next up, we have the Red Sox taking on the Braves. The Red Sox somehow, some way, pull out a win yesterday. Heading into the, what was it? That score heading into the 7th inning was, I believe it was like 6-2, right? And they end up winning that game. So clap it up for the hometown Red Sox here. Rafi Devers walking it off. Today, we got Schwellenbach on the mound for the Braves, who's looked really good in the last couple starts. I will say both were at home. Both were against, you know, teams that were kind of middling, Cincinnati and Washington. But he pitches deep in the game, so I think we can give him that, right? On the other side of things is going to be Brian Bayo, who, don't look now, but Brian Bayo's pitching really, really well. Even his last outing when he didn't look all that great, he was walking guys and he let up a home run that really kind of let things get awry. But before that, you know, 3 of the 4 starts prior to that start, he had 1 run earned or less. So I do think that he could pitch well today. it will ultimately come down to that sinker. He's a sinker thrower, right? He also mixes in the slider, but if that sinker is not on, we'll have some troubles. But if it is, I think Atlanta could struggle. So do I think that this is a spot in which I really want to, go out there and put my neck on the line for Brayan Bello? Not so much. So I do still think I lean towards Atlanta. I think that they're a little bit more consistent, and essentially they won that game yesterday. You know what I mean? They just blew it. So I think I would say Schwellenbach versus Bello. I'll trust Schwell just for the first five. So maybe Atlanta first five money line. But this is important, especially when you're betting a lot of games and whatnot. This is totally going to be a learning type game for me and for you guys watching of Brayan Bello. If Brayan Bello can go out there and navigate the pitch that everyone knows he's going to throw, that sinker, right, against a team that is looking for it, and he can control it and whatnot and have another really good quality start, then this would be a guy that we can start to back more and more. We've already banked with Bello a couple times this year, and I do believe the kid has some serious skill. I don't know about the next Pedro, like us Red Sox fan were convinced when he was first coming up, but I do think that this is going to be one of those games where if we watch intently, we'll be able to tell if this kid has kind of the mojo this year, because so far it looks okay, right? 2.3 ERA at home, an average against of 2.11. But you start to get into things like FIP, 5.55 FIP, expected FIP, 4.65. So some advanced numbers say that there's still some struggles there, but let's keep an eye on it. I'm going to go Braves, first five money line here. In terms of the total, I'm going to lean towards the over because I think this Red Sox offense should be able to hit what they'll see from Schwell, and he's been a little bit worse on the road. But I don't know if it's going to go way, way over. Like, we could easily see one of these pitchers have a very good game. So I'll lean Braves first five and the over there. All right, moving on to Baltimore taking on Washington. This Baltimore team, it's laughable at this point. Even yesterday, they scored 6 runs. You're probably thinking, oh, hell yeah. They scored those 6 runs in the 7th inning beyond. They got, I mean, I believe Washington ended up scoring 3 late, right? But didn't essentially really matter. I mean, Baltimore ended up scoring 4 runs after those 3. It just wasn't enough. But this team is just something, man. This Baltimore squad was supposed to be good heading into this season. They're sitting there at 15-29 as their record. Now, do they go out there and get swept by Washington? That I really have a hard time believing. So I will lean Baltimore, but at that price, no way I'm touching it. You have Eflin on the mound too. You could say good starter. He's been pretty good this year. Going up against Soroka, who only has, 3 starts under his belt. He stinks. There's a lot that points to Baltimore here, but the inconsistency of the offense is just really throwing us all off. So give me Baltimore. In terms of a total play here, I would lean towards the over because I'm not guaranteeing that Eflin's going to go out there and pitch well. And then you throw in either one of these bullpens, the moon is the limit for these offenses, even though they do stink. So Baltimore in the over. Nothing player prop wise that I can get behind. I would encourage anyone that is rolling with anything, if you have your own plays today and you're locking anything in, just think twice about this matchup because this is a really, really volatile matchup today. Hey, real quick, guys, before we do move on with the rest of the games, I want to talk to you about Prize Picks. They have a Play 5, get $50. Just 10x that entry for new customers. All you have to do is use the link down in the description or use the link in the pinned comment or sign up using code GUYBOSTON. Yeah, we made it easy for you. Any way you want to sign up, go ahead and check it out. Again, Play 5, get 50. The big thing here is for tonight, Game 7, OKC, Denver. They have a free Jokic square, 0.5 points. His back's against the wall, leader of his team against the MVP that maybe he should have won. I think Jokic is going to go out there with a little intensity and score at least 1 point. So check it out, guys. That link will be down below again in the description, as well as the pinned comment. Get that Jokic square, get the Play 5, and get $50 promo as well. Link down below. Jump back into these MLB games. All right, Philadelphia taking on Pittsburgh. We have Mick Abel on the mound for the Phillies. He is making his MLB debut. Been in the minors for a while, last 3 seasons, AAA. Didn't look all that terrible, but this year, things definitely shaped up for him. 8 starts, 1.2 whip, ERA of 2.53. So, okay, this looks like this is best year. Prior to that, he was kind of a mid-1s whip guy, ERA in the mid-4s. So I don't really know too much about him, but that's what we got, right? And I'm not one of those people that's going to blow smoke up your ass and act like I know about Mick Abel. What I do know is you do have Paul Skeens on the other side of things, and he's pretty damn good if I do say so myself. Yeah, that's probably breaking news to a lot of people. The spot to go in this one would probably still be to trust the better offense. I guess, in a sense, if we were to roll with something in this one. But no one on this Phillies team has faced Paul Skeens before, it looks like. At least my numbers are telling me that. And Mick Abel, obviously, same situation. So maybe these offenses do get tripped up for the first, little bit of this game. I don't mind the idea of potential first 5 under. We're kind of hoping that obviously Paul Skeens does his job, right, and makes it tough on this Phillies team. But how do we know that this kid doesn't come out there and do fairly well in his first start against an offense that, if I was making my MLB debut, the Pirates are on a short list of teams that I'd like to go up against. You know what I mean? Like, this offense is not very good. So yeah, first 5 under, trusting a pitcher that I don't know much about, which is crazy. Just call me very trusting. And then trusting Paul Skeens seems like it could be a decent spot here, right? So yeah, under 4.5, you can go under 4.5, or looks like under 5, whichever one you feel like has a little bit more value there. But Paul Skeens on the season, it's at that under 4.5 in 78% of games. When on the road, all 5 starts. So yeah, it's kind of going to be up to him if he's able to, I guess, really suppress that Phillies offense, because I think that I could go pitch a decent first 5 against this Pirates team if I really needed to, right? So yeah, we're going to go with the first 5 under in this spot. And then I think I would say, coming into this, you'd probably think, like I said, oh, it's probably back in Paul Skeens and whatnot. But at the end of the day, I would trust the better offense, especially when we get to the bullpens, which would ultimately be Philly. So if we needed a side pick, which I think we're pretty comfortable in the first 5 here, if we needed a side pick, first 5 under, I should say, if we needed a side pick, I've said that 10 times now, I would still trust Philly, but I don't think that I can fade Skeens like that. You know what I mean? So first 5 under, probably going to be a final play. I just hope that logic makes sense, right? Like, if this kid goes out there and gets shelled, then yikes. All right, Toronto taking on Detroit. Got a little burned yesterday, I would say, right? Detroit up 1-0, low-scoring game. They win the first 5. Great, we cashed that. But unfortunately, we take a peek at the full game for them as well, and they end up losing in the, was it extras or the 9th? Late in the game. I believe Toronto may have scored a run in the 9th, if I'm not mistaken. But today we have Jackson Jobe on the mound going up against Jose Barrios. Barrios, I'm not the biggest a fan of. Jackson Jobe, I do think is good. I've said that before. I think that he's got a really promising future. I know that sounds corny, but it is the case. His slider should work today. I've been saying that about these pitchers. We've seen 3 pitchers in a row, Olsen, Jack Flaherty before that, and now Jobe, that have good sliders, and this Toronto team stinks against the slider. So you know what? We're going right back to what we liked in games 1 and in game 2. I like Detroit here in this spot. Their bullpen is super, super taxed. You look at Toronto's bullpen, kind of in the same situation. So both teams have good bullpens, but they're taxed, right? So ultimately, I would end up trusting what I feel is the better offense, which, even though Toronto's been on fire lately, they've kind of cooled off a little, right? But I would kind of say Detroit, maybe I expect to get late runs. But if you want to feel a little bit more confident, maybe there is just a kind of look at the Tigers in the first 5, because I'm down to go Jobe versus Barrios all day long. Again, that slider should work. The fastball should work. On the other side of things, we're going to get the splitter. We're going to get the sinker. We're going to get the fastball from Barrios, and we should see a Tigers team that hits those pretty well. So yeah, whether it's money line or first 5. In fact, let me see what the first 5 is right now. Money line right now, you can get plus 105, anywhere from plus 105 to plus 114, depending on your access to books. For the money line here, plus 105 as well. So, we might be rolling with another spot in which we kind of split those. So yeah, I like Detroit on the first 5. I also like them full game. I think we're going to go quarter unit on each of those, because we're still rolling with half unit plays. So that might be what we end up ultimately looking at here. Back in Detroit, again, in both the first 5 as well as the full game, but amounting to the same amount of plays if we were to just take one of those. Plus money, by the way, that's why we like it. I think that they have advantages, from the pitching and from the batting perspective. Bullpens might get a little bit dicey. In terms of where we go from a total perspective, Tigers team total over is also something that I like. Now, am I going to dip my toe into another sort of Tigers team total spot? We've been kind of spot on this series so far. Yes, we lost the full game before, but yesterday. But before that, we had the Tigers money line and their team total over. So I don't mind that idea. Again, if we look at Barrios against this Tigers team, though, he's been okay against them in a handful of a sample size. So we might just trust, Jobe and get him going. The one thing I will mention is that this team scores a lot of runs against Toronto. Dating back to last year, they're averaging 5 runs per game. So might be something worth considering if we look at them, in terms of a team total, but that means that we might end up rolling with, multiple units on this game. Unless we just go quarter, which kind of keeps us disciplined, that might be something that we consider. But yeah, keep an eye on the final plays. Obviously sounds like we got a lot that could be, involved in this one, and no player props. Sorry, we haven't had many player props in today's video yet, but we'll definitely get to some. Miami taking on Tampa Bay. We cashed with the first 5 under yesterday. Don't think we'll be rolling that one back today. We have Cal Quantrill on the mound, which I would never take a defensive or under type prop with him on the board. Going up against Shane Bays, who has kind of been struggling. I say his name differently every time I say it, I swear. But Baz has really been struggling, so maybe we start to take a peek at an over. We have 2 offenses that, they're not all that great, but at the same time, neither pitcher should be firing. If you wanted to maybe eliminate some variables, which is obviously something that we like to do, maybe we could just fade Cal Quantrill, take his hits over. We could take his the Tampa Bay team total over, something like that. But this game, much like we talked about with Washington and Baltimore, I do think has a lot of moving pieces and 2 pitchers that, Baz is good, but some of his numbers don't look great. He's been really good on the road, but at some point, what do we expect out of him? We're not quite sure yet. Cal Quantrill, we can't really back, so that's why I think if we eliminate variables, maybe there's something that we can get to fading Quantrill, whether it's his hits allowed or, again, Tampa Bay team total over. That's really all I have in this one, so I'd lean over, and then if I had to, I'd say Tampa Bay on the money line. I mean, for that plus 140, though, I'd still say Tampa Bay. I started to second-guess myself right as I said that, though. All right, interesting one here. We have Cincinnati taking on Cleveland. Andrew Abbott on the bump for Cleveland, going up against Luis Ortiz. Ortiz has had some good starts this year, but he's also had some bad ones. Abbott, looking really good, which shouldn't shock us. He's obviously had some really successful outings in the past, in his career and whatnot too, but I don't know, he's averaged 1.2 ERA in his last 5 starts, right? Which I want to say he only has maybe another one above, outside of those 5. But ultimately, how does he match up against his Cleveland team? And the answer to that is really, really well. He's going to pitch the fastball. They stink at hitting the fastball. He goes to the slider. They stink at hitting that. The changeup maybe they can get, but this Cleveland team against left-handed pitchers is tough, right? So I don't think that we can sit here and expect them to go out there and hit up Abbott. My problem, and I say it all the time, and is it the best sort of strategy? No, but it's worked for me in the past, is avoiding these sweep situations. Cincinnati, if they win today, they 3-game sweep this Cleveland team. And I took Cleveland one of those games, and I do think Cleveland is the better team. Maybe not against lefties, but it's a little worrisome to say, hey, go out there and sweep them, right? Especially when you're paying minus 118. It's almost the book's telling you that this is essentially a pick 'em. So for what it's worth, I lean Cincinnati. I do think that they have a lot of advantages here, probably including offense, because Cleveland's against the left hand. I would say they have the better bullpen. Let me check. I wanted to say, I don't know if we checked this. Cleveland's bullpen should be all good to go. I don't think that I have Cincinnati's up here. Cincinnati's bullpen, pretty taxed. So, okay, maybe they don't have the better bullpen today at least, but they got the better starter, better offense. Give me Cincinnati, maybe first 5. This could be one Cincinnati wins at first 5, and then Cleveland actually wins the game and avoids the sweep. Maybe that is something, some way, somehow we can ultimately play Cincinnati, because I do think there's a pretty strong advantage here. Joenski Noel under 1.5 hits, runs, and RBIs is something that I'm really considering as well. He's batting 118 against lefty pitchers. He does hit the fastball, changeup, and slider pretty damn well. I will throw that in there. But given the fact that he's batting 118 against lefties, this could be a spot in which we don't mind it, right? It looks like there's going to be good weather and a lot of runs come at Great American, so maybe a little risky, but again, I do think that this could be a play that we're getting some decent value on. Over on ProfitX, minus 140, it's minus 150 everywhere else, so at least 10 cents of value there too. I'm just hoping that the lefty matchup matters more than anything else, because again, the first 3 pitches he'll see from Abbott, he should be able to hit fairly well, but, and it's a big but, I do think that, we could see him struggle just to get the bat on the ball, seeing it from that side. So Cincinnati, did I talk about a total yet? I guess slight lean towards the over. Good weather in a hitter's ballpark. Yeah, it's probably the thing that falls to the bottom of the totem pole. I like Noel more than I do that total as well. All right, KC taking on St. Louis. St. Louis wins game 1 of this series 10-3, and then they win yesterday 1-0. I still think this is a St. Louis spot. They have Liberatore on the mound going up against the Royals, Michael Wacha. You could say name-wise, Michael Wacha has the better, they have the advantage there, but Liberatore has been okay this season, right? Nothing really to act like he's been terrible. His last 5 starts, 1.6 ERA on the season, a 3.1 ERA. He's going to throw a bunch of pitches as well, and this Kansas City offense stinks. So, yeah, for the money that we're getting at a plus 100 right now, I think that there could be some value on St. Louis. They burned us yesterday. We had their team total over. How'd that one work out? Not so great, spoiler alert. So, yeah, I mean, Michael Wacha has some bad numbers against this current roster as well. When I say roster, FYI, I'll remind you guys that when I say he has numbers against his roster, it's guys that are on the team now. They could have played for another team in the past, and if they face Michael Wacha, these numbers count towards that. So it's an aggregate of the guys' careers against him. 82 plate appearances against, 18.3% K rate, batting average against, expected 331, expected WOBA 450. Cardinals should be able to touch him. And again, Liberatore is actually pitching pretty well, and this Kansas City team can hit lefties. So for the money, I think I'm looking at the Cardinals right now, even odds, right? Which seems like it's pretty damn good. But the problem being is they have burned us. That's in the back of our head. The bullpen should be okay. So, I mean, even from I would say that these bullpens are fairly square in terms of advantage. But St. Louis's bullpen should be good to go. Kansas City's bullpen, let me see if we have that. I believe that they should be good to go as well. Yeah, they are. I mean, so both pitchers had good games yesterday. Bullpen's got a little rest. St. Louis for the even money is probably what I take a peek at here. But again, are they going to sweep? The sweep could keep us off of this. In terms of a total, I'd say over. I think that Wacha could get hit by the Cardinals, and then what if the Royals say, hey, today let's start playing offense? Maybe that's a possibility, right? From a player prop perspective, really want to target some of the guys that maybe, bad against lefties in this Royals offense. So one of the ones that we found, and it's not necessarily solely based on lefty-righty splits, but Salvador Perez, 176 average against the lefty here. Liberatore, a little bit worse against righty bats, but listen to this. Salvador Perez, on the season, 216 average, so not all that great, right? 57.6 WRC plus, still also not that great. But against lefties, 176 average, and then 13.4 WRC plus. I have a chance of rolling this because this is plus money right now going with the under. The one thing that it makes me scared is 2 plate appearances against Liberatore, right? One of those he put over the wall with a home run. So that's a little worrisome. But again, plus 100 on his under hits, runs, and RBIs. Not good against lefties. Maybe he doesn't even get on base, knock on wood, for the first few at-bats, right? So, yeah, give me the under in that spot. Again, for plus money, seems like we can rationalize that. All right, guys, before we jump into this game, go ahead and comment 22 down below. And not just comment at 22. Let me know, who do you think of. We'll try to keep it to baseball because that can be tough. There's a lot of players. Who do you think of when you think of the number 22 in baseball? There's a lot of numbers a lot of players that come to mind. I do think Kershaw 22 kind of jumps to the front of my mind. So yeah, I'm curious. Who do you guys think of when you think of 22 in baseball? It's not as easy as football and basketball because numbers aren't as special, I guess you could say. But let me know in the comments. It doesn't have to be the best person that's ever worn 22. It's when you close your eyes, think of 22. Whose jersey do you pick? So let me know down in the comments there. Again, I think mine is Kershaw. I would say, I think, if I'm saying his name right away, that clearly is answering the question, right? But let's move on to this Milwaukee and Minnesota game. Milwaukee, 2 games in a row now, they've scored 0 runs. Now they're heavily favored, and it makes sense. You have Zebby Matthews on the mound for this Minnesota team. Is he bad? No. Last year, I would say that he was all right and not all that great. He's had a few starts in AAA, though, and he's looked pretty good. He's got a sub-2 ERA this year, so now he's making his season debut for the Twins. But again, he was meh last year, right? He's what you'd expect out of what was he, 23 last year or something like that? He had a 6 ERA, 1.6 whip, 9 starts. I'm not trying to rag on the kid. He's still only 24. But I do think Peralta is kind of the guy that this Milwaukee team needs to bring in to steer the ship in the right direction. He hasn't been all that phenomenal, but he does have a decent start against Minnesota to look back on. Last year, 6 innings pitched, just 2 hits, 8 strikeouts, 0 earned runs. So I think that juice is warranted. Minnesota does hit the fastball really well, I will say that, but Freddie Peralta should be able to place this, and his fastball isn't your everyday fastball. So for that juice, I do think Milwaukee might be worth drinking it. But Zebby Matthews, he's pitching against a really bad offense. This is probably a nice little intro spot for him to do his thing. So I'm going to take Milwaukee. I'm going to take, I guess the under, because I don't think the Twins really put up a big number here. But I will tell you, I don't know if either of those become final plays, just because this Milwaukee offense is pretty scary. Even if you back Freddie Peralta, they could lose this one like 1-0 for Christ's sakes. You know what I mean? All right, Cubs, White Sox. Cubs looking like they're controlling this series. 13-3 win 2 days ago. Yesterday, 7-3 win. Boyd looked good against them. I will say that, the White Sox offense is going to stink no matter what. But they hit the fastball well, and that's really what you're going to get out of Reyes. So maybe there's a chance they compete in this one. I'm not taking the flyer on them, but what I will say is I think there's enough there with, the pitcher on the mound and whatnot that we could see a lower scoring game, meaning the Cubs don't just pull away with it. So at minus 272, whether it's their run line or their money line, anything like that probably starts to lose value in my brain. Throw in the fact that this is a rivalry type game of the city, and you have a sweep potential here. Maybe the White Sox say, hey, let's play above our skins and above our skis here, or maybe we can take one and avoid the sweep. That type of stuff could be involved. So I lean White Sox. I'm sounding the psycho alert alarm because there isn't enough that's palpable there to actually get there, but I really do think that there's a slight chance, I would say that for sure, and I think that Chicago might be a little overpriced today. This isn't Matthew Boyd on the mound or anything like that, so yeah, give me the White Sox, but if I'm being transparent, I don't think I got the cojones to end up rolling with it. In terms of a total, I already mentioned, I think it could be a lower scoring game, so give me the under as well. All right, San Fran taking on the Athletics. Verlander on the mound going up against Springs. So pitching advantage to San Fran, I would say for sure, even though Springs has looked good and Verlander's looked mediocre. But I don't necessarily want to sit here and tell you to fade the Giants against a lefty pitcher. They actually hit lefties pretty well. He's going to get a lot of sliders and changeups in theirs as well. They hit those pretty good. So yeah, there is a lot of angles that I could see taking the Giants today, especially given the fact that you look at the series and, they've been in control, right? They won one crazily, 9-1, and then they won even more crazily, 1-0. So they are the better team. They got the better record. They are at home. The sweep is in there, so obviously that's baked in, and sometimes we like to avoid that, like I've mentioned 10 times today. But I'm having trouble getting to the Athletics. They have Giants have the better bullpen, what I'd consider the better offense today, and better pitcher. And Verlander isn't always the better pitcher. A couple of years ago, yes, but as of right now, I do think he's got the edge over Springs. Springs had some good starts recently. I will definitely give him that credit, but the Dodgers I kind of think is a fluke. Seattle, fluke. Texas looked pretty good. Now, when I say fluke, it's like either he's pitching really, really well or he just had really good outings. 7 innings against the Dodgers. I think it was 6 innings against Seattle, against two of the better offenses right now. He's due for some regression at some point, right? So give me San Fran as well as the over in this one. But I hope you can tell it in my voice. It's not exactly one of my cemented love this spot today, because what if I'm wrong about Springs? What if Springs is firing right now? All right, Arizona taking on Colorado. Unlike, the Chicago game, I don't really see an angle to the underdog here. Diamondbacks team total is probably what I'd look at. Merrill Kelly's on the mound going up against Dollander. Is Merrill Kelly all that fantastic? No, but he honestly doesn't have the worst numbers this year, and specifically the worst numbers at home. So I think the Diamondbacks have that going for them. You throw in the fact that they lost a massively high-scoring game yesterday. Yeah, they probably bounce back today with a score that's probably a decent number as well. So give me Arizona if you can get them run line or first 5 run line, something like that, and the over. Hate to go through that one so quickly, but I think the value is kind of toast in that one. All right, Tony Gonsolin for the Dodgers. Yusei Kikuchi for the Angels. Kikuchi's looking okay. Gonsolin also now with a few starts under his belt's looking okay. He shut out Arizona through 5 innings last time out. This Angels offense, obviously not a very good offense, and they've won 2 straight games. So if there's ever a time to hammer the Dodgers, it's probably now. They've lost both games in this series, and they put up 9 runs yesterday, and somehow, some way, the Angels put up 11. You know what I mean? So yeah, the odds still are kind of tough, we can say, but I mean, you think the Angels are going to sweep the Dodgers? Like, at this point, instead of putting this game into a vacuum, we should say something like that, right? Where it's like, well, if you were to look at the series before, this would be near impossible in your brain. So yeah, maybe there is a little bit of a angle to get to the Dodgers. So I'm going to go Dodgers first 5 in this one. Is it smart to just say, oh, they can't get swept? Not necessarily, but you do also have one of the best teams against one of the worst teams in the league. So at some point, water finds its level, right? And hopefully we can trust Gonsolin in this spot. He's had some rough numbers against the Angels, and Kikuchi also has some rough numbers against the Dodgers. So maybe we also take a peek at an over, but I'm just hoping that the Dodgers offense gets off to a hot start today. First 5 run line, you can get that, I think, minus 120 right now over on Caesars. That's will be what we look at, as well as the over. Padres taking on the Mariners. I've liked this series so far for sure. I mean, the way that they've ended has been kind of lopsided. I think Seattle won, 5-1 and 4-1 were the 2 games. I forget the order of which. Today we have Michael King on the mound going up against Brian Wu. Brian Wu's been good. Michael King's been very, very good. So though we have 2 really good offenses, I think we have 2 better pitchers potentially in this spot. So I've considered the first 5 under. It looks like, based on the pitching, the books expect this to be a low-scoring game as well. I'm going to give the Padres the slight edge here in this spot. I don't think that they get swept by the Mariners. Even though the Mariners are a good team, I think the Padres can bounce back today, but keep this game low. So I'm going to go under, maybe first 5 under, as well as the Padres. Michael King is going to throw a lot of sinkers. The Seahawks, the Mariners hit that really well, but he also mixes in the fastball, the slider as well. They don't hit that very well. You flip it over to Brian Wu, he's going to throw fastball, sinker, 2 of the worst pitches that the Padres hit, which is why I think we're getting some good value here. So a lot points to the Mariners, but the sweep is there. I'm going to try and avoid that. I think Michael King's a better pitcher, and San Diego's bullpen I'm going to trust. I like them on the money line, but I don't think it's going to be a high-scoring game. Like I said, the pitches that Wu should throw, I don't think San Diego's going to put up a huge number today. All right, Yankees, Mets. This one kind of played out perfectly. Yankees win game 1, Mets win game 2. Now we have 2 studs on the mound. David Peterson going up against Max Fried. Peterson's been really, really good this year from, I would say, what we expected. Last 5 starts here, he's averaging just about, into the 6th inning, 2 earned runs, 5.5 strikeouts, 1 walk per game. Going up against Max Fried, who's been nearly untouchable, and he's faced some good offenses as well. So I do think the Yankees have the upper hand, but minus 156 is a little egregious, right? Like, that's a big price tag to pay. So maybe Yankees team total over, because I don't think they win this one unless, they get to David Peterson or something like that. But I'm going to say Yankees. They're at home, game 3. I think that they have the better pitcher in this spot. I think that their bullpen should be in a decent spot as well. I think only, 3 guys went yesterday. The Mets, Diaz went and Garrett went, and I want to say someone else did as well, Braz maybe. But yeah, Yankees, and then honestly, I do think both offenses are really good, but both pitchers are good. I would say this is a spot in which, they probably 5-4 is the maximum. So I like the idea of offenses, but Max Fried, David Peterson, 2 lefties as well. This is probably a game that, they struggled to put up a huge number. So Yankees team total over, but this could be like a 5-4, 5-3 game in which, yeah, the Yankees scored a decent amount, but the Mets might not have. So I'm going to lean slightly towards the under. I can see how that'd be confusing. It even confuses myself here. But yeah, Yankees probably being the best look in my opinion in this one. But guys, it's going to wrap it up for today's show. Hopefully you guys did enjoy. If you did, you know what to do. Go ahead, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. We'll catch you guys in the next one, all right? Peace out.